Is your home ready to win the beauty contest? In the South Carolina Lowcountry, property condition strategy is key for making sure that you have a successful sale transaction. So today we're going to talk about the elements, the things to consider, and what you need to do to be prepared. So let's get after it. Today, we're talking about condition strategy, one of the 5 key strategies that we like to talk to sellers about having the most successful results when they bring their property to market. And this is actually one that we talk about ideally ahead of coming to market, condition strategy. And that really has to do with what's the condition of this property. In particular, are there repair issues? Are there visual issues that might be concerning for a buyer, for their agent, for a home inspector? That's good to talk about and identify ahead of time before you get into that modality further down the road, before you come on the market, before those other people get involved in the transaction. So, Chris, we just kind of want to talk about what we're typically seeing, how we identify those things, and let's kind of go there. Typically for a seller, they live in their home. They want, when we show up, they're pretty much wanting to know, what do I need to do to my house to get it ready for market? And this really speaks primarily to that. But the interesting thing we find out is that just like we do, we live in our home the way we live in our home, which for me, I don't go in my crawl space every day, every month, every year. I don't go up in my attic with that level of frequency. I don't look at the guest bathroom ceiling to see if there's been a leak. These are things where we typically are finding that homeowners are looking for another way to figure that out. So let's talk about the on-site consultation, and let's also talk about the benefits or maybe pros and cons of a presale home inspection. So let's talk about the on-site consultation. What are you typically seeing? Where are you looking when you go to a homeowner's property for the first time?
An on-site consultation, I think, as we walk through all the rooms and spaces, we're looking up, we're looking down, we're looking at registers, we're looking at dust on ceiling fans, we're looking for maybe stains in the wall or stains in the ceiling where maybe there was a prior leak. A lot of the stains that you see in the ceiling, they're not from roof leaks, but they might be a condensation line or something like that, air conditioning system, a plumbing issue that maybe dripped a little bit a while ago and is now dried. But I think it's important for sellers to think about it as putting their buyer hat on.
Right.
Like you said, when you're in your own house, you're so used to everything. You're used to the smells. You're used to the sights. You're used to the clutter, where you put things. Things make sense.
Right.
But if you go into a house for the first time, then it takes a different approach. You take a different approach to how you look at something. So that's how when we come in and do an on-site consultation, we're looking at everything and we're taking tons of notes. And a lot of the things that we notice, the homeowner hasn't even seen before.
Right. Or they're accustomed to.
They're just so used to it.
Right.
And I think the whole thing about this is condition doesn't have to be major.
Right.
We're not talking about big scale renovations or big projects typically.
Right.
We're just talking about putting the property in its best position to sell, its best shape to sell. And sometimes there's just little things that you can do.
And they don't know about it, so fresh eyes on the property is huge, right? That's kind of what they're counting on. And also going in locations that homeowners typically don't go. So as you said, we'll open up closet doors and look up at the ceiling. We'll go up in an attic, and you can find out a lot about a property in an attic, by the way, in a crawl space. What kind of plumbing does the property have? Is there a water heater up there? Is there an abandoned water heater up there? Is there rust in the pan of the air handler? Are there signs of a potential leak or a previous leak? That sort of thing. Most homeowners aren't spending time looking at that. They don't want to go up there. It's hot. It's not easy to get it there. And the same thing sometimes under a home. The same sort of, what kind of plumbing does it have? What kind of insulation does it have? Has there been a critter infestation underneath the house, etc.? Those kinds of things we're identifying now up front so you can pave a smoother road. And another next step on that is, because we're not home inspectors, but we're pretty experienced in seeing what we see and knowing what we see. But a lot of folks might want to think about, especially if they really don't know, maybe it's a second home, maybe it's not even a rental property, maybe it's not occupied often hiring a home inspector for a pre-sale home inspection can go a long way of specifically identifying how does the air conditioning system, function? Are the appliances all functioning? What's wood rot look like around the home? Is there any wood infestation on the property? That sort of thing is that next level and layer of really being able to understand what's going on with that property, what its condition really is.
Well, we've spoken about home inspection, pre-sale home inspections before, but what's important to know is that just understanding that before you go to market, if you do the pre-sale home inspection, if they identify some things that need to be addressed, you can do it on your timeline with your preferred contract. Doesn't even need to be a licensed contractor, maybe.
Right.
So, but after you're under contract, if the buyer comes to you and has identified their home inspection, has found things, then you're in a time crunch. So what tends to happen is it gets a little bit more costly. You have to hire a licensed contractor. You have to provide paperwork and all of that sort of thing. So you're getting ahead of that. But I think this is a timely topic, Chip, because we talked about the markets are kind of shifting towards transitioning towards a buyer market. And that's when condition strategy, that's when the beauty contest really comes into play. Years ago, when the markets were really hot, strong sellers market, it wasn't as important.
Sure.
But now you really need to shine the product.
Yeah.
And that's just more and more important because buyers are super picky right now and they want to just have a comfortable experience when they see things, and they don't, you pinned this term years ago, buyer horriblization.
Sure, yeah.
That's when a buyer sees maybe a little stain on the ceiling, and instead of that being just a dry stain that's easily fixed and painted because something happened 10, 20 years ago, they think they need a new roof.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to get ahead of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll sit down with folks and talk to them about, okay, well, if we've identified certain things that might be on our wish list, condition wish list, how do you tackle that? And when I think one of the benefits is that we've got our toolbox of valued and maybe even leveraged vendors that the electrician, the plumber, the painter, the pressure washer, some of the people that are readily available and we've done a ton of work with, so they're qualified and we can leverage them to get involved and help bring these things up. Like you said, we're not talking necessarily about renovating a bathroom or a kitchen. We're talking about removing things that might be horribilized by a buyer so that you've got a smoother process. You're getting ahead of it. You're not waiting until the home inspector comes upon these things. And speaking of home inspections, this is one of the other things that we're talking to both sellers and buyers about is, home inspection now is a regular event in transactions, especially as the market has shifted. We didn't see them as often during the COVID market, but home inspectors do their job and they are inspectors and they've got all sorts of gadgets and tools and devices as they should to identify and understand what the condition of the property is and make that report. The thing that sellers and homeowners or buyers have got to be aware of is that these reports are pretty voluminous. I mean, it's not uncommon to see 100, 200-page home inspection. And what we want to make sure is that doesn't freak out sellers or buyers, right? This is their job. They're going to find things. These are resale properties. So it's really important, I think, for buyers to make sure that don't let that knock the shine off the penny of a home you're really excited about. Don't be surprised if there might be some things. Don't be surprised if there's typical common things that we see all the time that don't suggest that the house was poorly constructed or it's falling down or there's any major problems. I think it's really important that everybody kind of understand and have that in context.
I think this video is great for sellers because sellers can get on top of it. But I think buyers need to pay attention to this too, because buyers, I think, for a condition of a property could help a buyer get a good price on a property.
Sure.
A buyer can leverage a little bit of that right now, and they tend to. And then those home inspections, I love what you said. You don't have to get so scared about a 100-page home inspection. A lot of that's repetitive stuff. A lot of that's disclaimers. A lot of that's just information. But then what they do is they take that close-up photo of the stain or the wood rot, and it looks like the whole house is falling.
That's horribilization.
Yes. And so just kind of back away a little bit from that. Expect that. Have a good positive conversation with your agent about that. and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't need to be scary. Again, these are resale properties. They're properties that people live in. Things happen. Homes require maintenance, et cetera. Some people are right on top of it, and others maybe not so much. And so things come up as a surprise. There are ways to solve that. I just think we want to talk today about it's nice to pre-solve that. It's nice to get ahead of it. And so many times we'll see listings that come on the market that haven't had any strategy discussion, and that's a problem. It creates friction. It creates challenges. It creates more work for everybody. It can knock the shine off the penny, et cetera. So why not get ahead of it up front, which is really why it's one of the key strategies that we work with folks on. So guys, we hope that was helpful. If we can ever be of assistance on a on-site consultation for you as a homeowner in the Lowcountry, by the way, even if you're not thinking about selling, because here's the other thing is it's all about runway, which means time. So many times you need extra time if you've got condition issues to hire those valued vendors to get ahead of it. And like you said early on, not to be under pressure or stress to get that done is so helpful. So if it would be helpful to have an on-site consultation, or you want the recommendation of a home inspector to do a home inspection for you just for your own knowledge, we've got those resources, we've got that availability, and we would love to help. Appreciate your time today.